digital world. Bill, thank you.
Growing up in Australia, at the age of 12, I first got my hands on a computer. And I can assure you that I very quickly got into looking into how you could hack into what few systems were online back then. And I had a group of friends who were hackers. And I probably would have ended up in trouble if I was any good at it. However, I wasn't that good at it, but I did get quite good at programming. And my career arc certainly included technical companies and a general love for technology. And about a year ago, a young fella came up to me, because I'm now an investor, and he wanted some money, and I said, fine, we'll get you some money for your startup. How old are you? He said, oh, I'm 18, I'm just doing my leaving cert. I'm like, okay, cool, and where did you learn how to program? Expecting the standard answer, oh, I learned in my bedroom, which is like what I did. Well, guess what? He'd done something a little more. This was James Weldon. He was at Pres in Cork. And an amazing thing happened. He won a Web Award, learning in his bedroom, and the school headmaster announced this over the intercom in the school. And all these kids came up to him and said, James, how did you get a Web Award? How do you do that? I want to do that too. Now, James started a computer club in his school based out of that. But what I heard was something quite different when he relayed that story to me. I heard enormous market demand. Because if you think about it, a random announcement in a random school generated seeking behavior in young teenagers to go and seek out the geek. That's demand. That's impressive. That's huge need. Now, I homeschool my kids, so I haven't had much experience with the education system for a while. And I was kind of intrigued as to why one announcement would create so much demand. And so I went and did a little research. Now, when I was in school, yeah, I had my own computer, but there was computers in schools. There was all these, interesting initiatives to learn programming, Logo, Basic, all sorts of good stuff. To my horror, I discovered that across the world, there are virtually no primary school kids and very few secondary school kids being taught anything of any kind of programming. Now, a friend of mine is a guy called Noam Chomsky, and he has looked at developmental learning, and he's looked at the age in which you should learn certain things. And his research shows very, very clearly that from the age of 7 to 17, before you start major neural pruning, is the best time to learn languages. And I'm here to tell you that programming is a language, a human language like any other. And if you want to become a native speaker, you want to learn young. Now, why is being a native speaker important? Well, I have worked with some big corporates, and I've seen some very, very bad attempts to quantify programming prowess. The worst one I ever saw was somebody paying for lines of code. They got very slow software, very inefficient. You see, the best programmers in the world, in my view, are poets. Just like poets in natural language will say more with fewer words, the best coders deliver you fantastic impact with fewer lines of code. They're just better at it. One really good native speaker who's a bit poetic in the programming sense will outperform any 10 hacks. And all of our systems, our whole universe now runs on computers. People think oil is scarce in this world. Rubbish. I can tell you, in comparison, oil is abundant. In comparison to this one thing. Really great programmers who play well with others. Right? Really great programmers who play well with others are really hard to find. And, I see a lot of great programmers who are on the autistic and Asperger's syndrome. I see a lot of spectrum. I see a lot of engineers there. Fine. But you know what? They can also play well with others too. But if they spend all their time in their bedrooms by themselves, they don't get that opportunity. And they're not getting that opportunity in schools because we're not putting in schools the kind of things that will interest them. So when James told me his story just over a year ago, I sat down with him and I said, listen, I know your computer club is ending because you're graduating and there's no one to run it at Pres. But I think we can do better than school. I think we can take what you have learned and what you have seen, and I think we can prototype something even more powerful. And so we sat together and we developed a whole system together. We took 3 months to prototype it. National Software Centre in Corkbic gave us a room for free every week, 3 hours a week. And we started running these little computer club sessions in that space just over a year ago. Now, one of my expertise is branding and creating networks. I co-founded a big social network in Germany called Zing. I spent a lot of time researching what it is that gets people to work together, how people get engaged. So we developed this very simple brand. Now, I promise you, what we developed would not have worked if we'd gone with the original name, which was Saturday Morning Programming Club for Kids. All right? We created a thing called CoderDojo. Coder, coolest word we could find for programming. If you can find me a cooler one, I might change the name. Dojo. Now, anyone done martial arts? Maybe? Anyone? Yeah, a few. Great. I would have hoped more at a cyber threat security summit. But anyway, at martial arts, you would go, if you learn karate or you learn kendo, you go to a dojo. It means temple adjunct, right? It is a system of learning that's about 2,000 years old. And you can boil it down to this very simple thing. You have a subject matter expert and people who have learned from this subject matter expert who then train the next generation and the next generation and the next generation. You can argue that the dojo system of learning is a global success. We have adopted that model. And guess what? What works for martial arts works for learning to program. So 3 months into this thing, we've got like 50 kids and we've got demand coming up. We've created this thing, CoderDojo. We have created a rule set. We have one rule, be cool. There is nothing more attractive to kids than being cool, I promise you. And by the way, if a kid plays up and you say, hey, that's uncool, you have never seen malfeasance end so quickly as when it has been deemed uncool. Similarly, when you say something is cool, you've never seen more pride. Now, we have a curriculum. Our curriculum is fun and encouragement, preferably in that order. We have plenty of online tools, courses, courseware, videos, all of that stuff that is available to us. Our subject matter experts are people who donate their time from industry, programmers. The same guys who might be using their instincts to support Anonymous are also the same people who are coming into CoderDojos, and instead of teaching malfeasance, they're actually helping kids out with coding problems. You've got a fantastic power that is being unleashed through this, in that Ireland has an enormously powerful software industry, and this is a way of directly connecting it to Irish youth in a social context. Right? The kids come to a room every week. Their parents stay in the room. We encourage parents to join in. We have the mentors in the room to cover their issues, to help them, inspire them. 3 months into our program, Harry Moran, young 12-year-old kid, becomes the youngest successful Apple app developer in history, launching his app PizzaBot. Since that year has been up, we now have, in just over a year, 130 dojos worldwide. On the 26th, we are launching CoderDojo Silicon Valley in partnership with Microsoft in their headquarters in Silicon Valley. This thing is taken off. There are roughly 8,000 kids now studying computer science in CoderDojos aged 7 to 17. There's a kid in Marne Point in the National Software Centre. His name's Alan. He's 10. Right? He's 10. He was not happy with the text editor that we were using. He wrote his own. The power of these kids when they work together is exponentially greater than when they just learn in their bedrooms. My own sons go to CoderDojo. I caught my son the other day sitting at the kitchen table discussing with my second son the formulas on Wikipedia denoting Newtonian motion. And I said, Liam, what are you doing talking about Newtonian motion? He said, oh, I've built this little game and I want to code an algorithm so that every time you click on the screen, you create a planet that orbits another planet, and I want it to work right. He hand-coded the algorithms. He's 17. I was shocked. If you want to see it, 2d.cm. He's put it up online with the source. It's very cute. A lot of fun. The whole CoderDojo movement works for free. And I mean free. There is no business model. There is no central control. We have a website, CoderDojo.com, CoderDojo.com. You can go there. Anyone can start a dojo. It's completely open source. It's completely free. Every location that we have in the world, and half of them are outside of Ireland, building Ireland's tech brand everywhere, every location has been donated or sponsored locally. There's no central bank account. There's no central campaign or fundraising. I'm not asking you for money, but I am asking you for something. I'm asking for your premises. I'm asking for your techs. I'm asking for your time. If you have kids, get them into a CoderDojo right now. If they like it, they've got a career for life. Our need for programmers is growing exponentially. Recently, I heard that Google poached an entire development team from another Irish company because they needed it. They poached a billing team. Did they poach a game software team? No. Did they poach a banking software team? No. They poached Bord Gash's billing team. The gas companies. I mean, that's the kind of desperation that we're in here, right? We need more programmers. Get your kids out there. They will love it. The growth that we see in the kids is amazing. There's a young girl, Jess. When she first came to CoderDojo, she sat in a corner. She was a tiny little mouse. She did not speak to anyone. If you talked or looked at her, she would shy away. She was that suppressed. A year later, she is one of our top mentors. She takes all of the kids, newbies who come in, and she mentors them with a microphone. She met the Taoiseach, shook his hand, said, "We need more CoderDojos." It is transformational, what we're talking about here, and it is all free, but it needs your support, and your support in start one nearby. I would like to blanket the entire of Ireland in CoderDojos and get everyone learning how to code. It's a fantastic experience to think about and how you can use your mind. If you are interested, please go to CoderDojo.com. That's enough of the pitch. I would like to entertain a few questions, though, if anyone has them. Up the back. Just shout it out, I'll repeat it.
What I am concerned, and I know concern is the right word.
Yes.
But when the kids that you have now become 18,
Yes.
they want to go to college. I'm a bit scared they'll say, college is not for me. I'm not going to do computer science. I'm going to keep doing what I always did. And my classes then are going to suffer. So I'm just wondering what the reaction to that is.
Okay, so you're worried that kids are going to be so successful that they don't need to go to college?
Yep.
I have to say, part of me, as a high school dropout, goes, cool. But the other part of me is sensitive to the risk that parents and kids would miss out on other opportunities. We have plenty of dojo mentors who encourage college enormously. And in fact, we've gone a little bit of a step further. We have offered at Marne Point and in Dublin to train the science teachers of Ireland in how to code and how to teach coding for free. We have gotten into the ICS and the new curriculum talks, and we have offered everything that we have as open source because we want to support education in general. So I don't think that we are disencouraging college. In fact, several of our CoderDojos are in colleges. UCD, Trinity, UCC, CIT, and the kids actually get to see what college life is like. And I think any kid that hangs around with other college kids has a tendency to want to go there. So I'm not actually that concerned. And if they do decide not to, I'm also not concerned. Because frankly, little Alan at 10 has a queue of people wanting to hire this kid. I keep telling them, don't bother. By the time he's old enough to be hired, he will have had an exit. Because the kid's already programming out his ears. Other questions? Out the back there.
Hey, Bill. Love what you're doing. I think it's fantastic.
By the way, it's not just me. It's we, right? We did the numbers. In the last year, Irish technical people, Irish mentors, have donated roughly 23 million euros worth of time, if you just take a basic hourly rate, to CoderDojos across the country. I want to triple that. So We, not me, we.
Okay.
Go on.
But this is it's kind of a rhetorical question, but it's a more a parental thing.
Yes.
How much time is too much time for a kid to be on a computer?
Okay, so if your kid is going to be really good at language, how much time is too much time reading books? How much time is too much time, going to the library or doing science experiments? I'll tell you how much time is too much time in the wrong way, right? I like computer games, but I don't love computer games. But we have an entire generation of kids growing up in schools who are being taught Word, Excel, and PowerPoint and games as their only access to technology. I see 2-year-olds getting handed iPads. You can't program with an iPad. You are stuck on the other side of the world, right? We call those kids that don't get that, we call those people who don't get the ability to reach in and change the world, we call them muggles, right? Because they haven't got access to the magic. If you ask how much is too much time, my answer is very simply, too much time playing games is probably a bad thing, because human beings are remarkably programmable, and game developers are really good at that. And that's how they make their money, so I'm not going to deny that. That's how they entertain you. They program you to get an endorphin rush when you do stuff. But in my view, it's program or be programmed. And I think time spent programming, figuring stuff out, just do not stop my son. If he's going to sit there and play, Halo all day, I'm going to have a problem with that. But if he's going to figure out the physics behind Newtonian geometry and hand code the algorithms, I'm just going to go, yes, do it. Up the back.
How you doing? Really love the idea of what you're doing, and it's great. But the age group you're talking about, 7 to 17, that's when they become adolescents, become mischievous. And as Paul said earlier on, if there's something on the internet that's valuable, the criminals will attack it. How are you going to protect these children from being attacked by criminals?
They come to CoderDojo every week. They come to a real physical space, and they meet in the real world with their parents. If there is a safer environment for kids to interact, I don't know one that is. And we have one rule, be cool. And I can tell you, we are very, very clear that being criminal is uncool. And all of our kids, I know, will tell you that. I've got a couple of 17-year-olds in Cork started their own business, Dharma Software. They're actually doing web design. Why would they want to be vulnerable to a criminal when they're making their own money? That's the unleashing of creativity is a much better protection in my view. And if you want to look at how do you really reach out to the future hackers in the world, simple. Get them together and have them learn to be really good, functioning, fun, enjoying life kids. Then they're not vulnerable anymore. I notice that criminals prey on the vulnerable. The vulnerable are the socially isolated. If you're going to be socially isolated, what better way than only learning how to program in your bedroom by yourself? I've been there. I have literally been there. I escaped because I wasn't good enough, but that's not a good excuse. Right? It is much better to bring these kids together and have them learn socially. Another question? Hi.
Just a quick question for you.
Oh, there's a mic here.
Thanks very much. As you said yourself, you're obviously looking at potential future programmers, and I suppose not wanting to sound like a security stiff, but do you also encourage things like encouraging security by design at such a young age?
Oh, absolutely. We have people coming in, and I would love if the least thing you could do, if you're a computer security expert, come to a CoderDojo and volunteer 1 hour a year to do a little lecture on cybersecurity. We would welcome you. The kids are fascinated by this stuff. I had a lady come in who said, look, all I know is database design. Would the kids be interested? They were riveted to her talk. I couldn't believe it. 7, 8-year-olds just drinking in every word. Oh, that's how we create the database so we can keep our high score tables. Fantastic. Kids are absolutely, they're sponges. They're interested in everything. So come on down. But yes, we do talk about that. We are very, very interested in security, in data privacy too. My own kids do not have Facebook pages yet. Why? Because they've actually gone through what they're giving up to have a Facebook page. They understand. We talk about that. Other questions? Thank you. Okay, so there's a big debate between our mentors about quality control. I am an unschooler. I believe in child-led learning. If you look at Sir Ken Robinson's talks on RSA Animate, you look at Sugata Mitra's talks on TED, you can see the power of child-led learning. I don't believe that a solid curriculum is actually going to ever be as effective as a child-led learning curriculum. I mean, we have kids learning Node.js, right? How many courses in Node.js are there in the world today at any college? And we've got lots of kids learning Node.js. So, for us, it's a learning environment more than it is a teaching system. It's got to be fun. That's why the curricula is fun and encouragement. That said, we're having a big mentor moot in Limerick in the not too distant future. All the mentors from around the country are coming, and we're going to look at sharing all the best practices we have. Now, we're also interfaced to the ICS and the new programming curriculum that they're trying to come up with. And so we're trying to exchange backwards and forwards. And we're also working on more formalized curricula to help with teachers in schools. So it's a definite thing that we're working on, but I don't have a definitive answer. The only answer I can give you that is definitive is I have a lot of kids who come every week who are having a wild time and they are producing amazing stuff. Like amazing stuff. So, from that point of view, I'm kind of happy. From the more formal, am I going to give people points? No, we're not going to do that. Although we do have, somebody has donated some USB wristbands that we can give out as belts when they have certain achievements, which is a bit of fun. Other questions? Anyone? Yes. What abilities do they need to start with?
Yep.
They need to be able to use a keyboard just enough so that they can type is usually enough. We run beginner and newbie courses every week, and often led by other kids, which is what I really love. To see kids mentoring kids is just awesome. That's pretty much what they need. And not every kid likes it. I would say in Ireland, the gene pool is pretty good. 70% do like it and about 30% don't. We are continually struggling to get more girls into the program. We have one dojo, which is exactly 50-50 girls and boys. And we're actually going to do an all-girl dojo in the not-too-distant future. But generally speaking, you don't need very much to start. I had one kid come to me. We ran a CoderDojo in London where I was, and he registered himself at 4 years of age, dragged his dad into the room, sat his dad down, and said, right, where do I start? To me. And I'm like, how old are you? 4. And that 4 was like, don't say another word. I was like, okay, you qualify, fine. He's still going. I had one kid come into Dublin, and he said, I don't want to learn anything, but I'm here to volunteer. You volunteer? Yeah, I want to be a mentor. Okay. How old are you? 11. What's your experience? I set up my first Linux install when I was 6. Okay, you qualify. Next question. Anyone? So I'd like to see how good a job I've done, so I'm going to put it on you. If you can help CoderDojo and assist CoderDojo in any way whatsoever, whether it's show up, give a lecture, whether it's offer your premises, whether it's introduce us to a new partner, whether it's become a mentor, whether it's be a parent or be a passionate person to start a new dojo in your area, can you put your hand up? Excellent. Done not a bad job. Good. So can all of you please promise me to go to CoderDojo.com. There's an email address in the Start a Dojo area. There's a Join a Dojo. And I want to leave you with a thought, right? Today, everything is connected, right? And so you might think that what CoderDojo is doing doesn't impact you at all, right? You might not have kids, or you might not be, think that you're touched by any of this stuff. But today the world is completely connected. So I'd like to leave you with this little video treat. Can I press play here or?
Yo, listen up. This is your home. It's the only one you got. This place is pretty, but you can't live there. You can't even get there. So I repeat, this is your home. It's the only one you got. Cherish it, protect it. It's the only one you're gonna get. These guys, they're your neighbors. They ain't going away. They ain't leaving. You have to get along with them. So you have to learn to share. You have to get along. You have to learn to get along because they are your neighbors. They're not going away. Okay, all this stuff, the animals, the waters, the sky, the ground, the bugs, the fish, the tacos, the people, they're all connected. Everything is connected. They all depend on one another. If you ignore that, you're doomed. Repeat, doomed, okay? So listen up, it's all one. Not two worlds, not three, one. Just one. So get it in gear. Remember, all is one, okay? Hit it.
So thanks, guys. Thanks.